Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today. All right, what do you guys see over here? Okay, great. So, I first wanted to say thank you for having me. Also, thank you to the organizers of this event. I can't wait to see what kind of work comes out of this collaboration, and also to my fellow panelists and professionals in this space. So, sorry guys, I speak a little bit quietly, so let me know. So you might be wondering why somebody from the financial services industry is sitting in a panel to combat online hate and harm. But bear with me, we're about to go on a journey, we're going to make this connection. So I know that this event revolves around anti-Semitic content online, but I want to highlight the effectiveness of disruption and detection from a financial services perspective. So just remember that behind every bit of anti-Semitic speech online and offline, there's a person, an entity, a group of people behind that effort. And what do people need to sustain their efforts? Money. So if we're going to disrupt them, let's hit them in their wallets where it hurts most. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what EverC does and the solutions and services that we provide. So Merchant View is a merchant monitoring solution. What we do is we crawl and classify millions of websites each day looking for problematic content, violative items, and we help our partners assess their risk level as they work with different merchants throughout their life cycle. And I could spend maybe an hour on this slide describing what we can do, but I'm going to try and move a little bit quickly here. Market View is our secondary solution, so we're working with major marketplaces and we can scan over 30 million products each day, looking for counterfeits, illicit products, and trying to help those platforms stay compliant with the organizations that they work with and their third-party sellers. And then thirdly, where our tech meets its limitations, we have a team of intelligence experts that are working with our tools, but they're also going out there into the ether, looking for bad actors, engaging with them, performing test transactions, and bringing that intelligence back to our clients. And one thing I did, There I go back. One thing I did want to highlight, if you can see the bottom right of this screen, is the strong network effect. So what we want to do is we want to look in our client's known ecosystem, looking for those violative products and those bad actors, but we also want to do is look outside of their known ecosystem, or outside of their known ecosystem, what is the unknown. So oftentimes bad actors will camouflage their activity using a network of front websites or whatever, or they'll be abusing their payments rails without them knowing about it. And so what we do is maintain a database of all different kinds of details, their phone numbers, company names, addresses, and it's billions of data points that we're able to make connections instantaneously. So not only do our partners trust us to look within their portfolio, but we're looking for anything possible that could be connected to that portfolio. So we're looking for not just taking down that one product or not just that one website. We want to take down the entire network of websites connected to a bad actor. And stay with me, we're gonna connect it to anti-Semitism in just a second. But I also wanted to highlight the clients that we work with are tier 1 banking organizations. We're working with the major credit card companies across the world, also 4 out of 5 of the top 5 global marketplaces. But the best thing that I want to take away from this is that not only do we have access to those companies moving the most money and the most products through their ecosystems, we have access to that data. And we're first and foremost a data company, and we're able to crawl and look for those details. And then finally, if we talk a little bit about EverC, is that what we want to do is position ourselves as thought leaders in our industry. We want to make sure that our industry thinks about their space and time the same way we design our detection and disruption solutions. And that can be either through analyzing the trends out in the industry each year, looking at the global regulatory environment, but also we host a Safer E-commerce Day every November 1st. And it's not in any effort to sell anything to anybody, we just want to bring together a lot of nerds to talk about threats out in the ether and really talk about what everybody is experiencing online. So when it comes to disrupting hate and harm, as you guys heard my colleagues, online platforms are significant arenas for hate groups to disseminate their toxic ideologies. But from what happens online, that often manifests into acts of physical violence. And we saw that with January 6th, the insurrection on the Capitol. So since January 6th, we've been tracking neo-Nazi, far-right extremist groups, white supremacist groups, and their activity online, but also how they're moving money. And this is especially important as the 2024 presidential election is quickly approaching with the same candidates, it looks like. And so we want to make sure that we're detecting online hate speech, but also trying to prevent them from getting access to that money. Now, why is money so important? It helps them sustain their operations, their global reach. It helps them with the logistics, but mostly I want to highlight the propaganda and radicalization aspect of it. This is not so different from how we see terrorist organizations like the Islamic State or Al-Qaeda using those funds in order to disseminate propaganda, and they can radicalize individuals to conducting lone wolf attacks. Again, a manifestation into violence in the physical world. And so how do they acquire those funds? I'm not going to go through each one of these. I just wanted you guys to see that there are not just one way bad actors try and manipulate the system in order to gain funds. They often use multiple paths and often do it simultaneously. And there are gaps in our ability to detect their access to those funds. And while there are oftentimes policies in place, for presenting extremist groups and anti-Semitic groups from proliferating on these platforms, they still are able to trick the system and they're able to process payments. And that's where we come into play. And then with October 7th, as we saw, we had the surge of anti-Semitic protests, acts of violence take place in the physical world. But what also happened, and people don't really realize, is that within our space, it was another watershed moment for the payments industry. Similar to how 9/11, we figured out that Al-Qaeda was able to exploit NGOs and charities and seemingly innocuous industries in order to fund the attack. On October 7th, the payments industry figured out that we were falling down on the job once again. And since October of last year, we've strengthened our efforts to detect anti-Semitic content online, racism, and track these organizations and how they're gaining money. So that's why it was first important for you to understand what my company does and how we're preventing money from flowing through these systems, and how we can steer those resources to look for violative activity online. And so a quick example, I think Carol's going to really enjoy this example because the ADL has been building background cases and tracking the National Alliance for a long time. This is a Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC, designated hate group, and they are a neo-Nazi group that's still active. They maintain an active website, as you can see here. But they're accepting donations. Now, they don't accept donations through credit cards directly on their website because they have policies preventing anti-Semitic groups from doing so. They're accepting payments through the mail. They're trying to evade that detection, but they're also using cryptocurrency, which we know is a typical typology for these groups to gain funds. But also, they have a nice little link here asking you to donate. And what that does is it's redirecting to a church website and asking for donations. So it's throwing off anybody looking for how they're processing funds. And after running a test transaction, we see that they're actually processing those transactions through a bookstore. So it's a miscoded transaction as well. So I'm going to wrap up here, but I did want to say that once we build these cases, that's when we go to our partners and have them take the action. It's violating, at the very least, the AUP of those websites, but we can also turn it into something even more. Thank you.